Was it worth prosecuting Julian Assange? Well over a decade of legal wrangling culminated in a plea bargain that set the WikiLeaks founder free. What will be the legacy of his prosecution for journalism, whistleblowing, and politics? I'm Andrea Sankey, and today's newsmaker is Julian Assange. Well, according to his guilty plea, Julian Assange conspired to obtain and disclose information related to U.S. national defense. Information the U.S. says put informants and others in danger. Still, though, Assange argued he believed his actions were protected by the First Amendment, and a number of legal experts believe that too. Now, after years of complicated geopolitical and judicial wranglings, Julian Assange is finally free on home soil in Australia. But his case leaves a complicated legacy for journalists, whistleblowers, and government transparency. Here's a look.
A 14-year-long legal nightmare comes to an end. Julian Assange finally steps foot on home soil in Australia after reaching a plea deal, accepting one US charge of espionage in return for the time served in a UK prison. The WikiLeaks founder received a hero's welcome in Canberra and was reunited with his wife and father.
What kind of legal precedents does all of this process set going forward? Does it help give any clarity to who is protected under what laws, who can be prosecuted by what laws, whether no matter when or where they were established, and in what country?
I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. So first of all, obviously, the U.S. doesn't have like a two-tier system. So, a defendant in criminal court in the United States enjoys all the protections of the U.S. courts. And Julian Assange would also enjoy those protections. In terms of extradition, I don't think it necessarily sets a precedent. But it is the case that, particularly, in these high-profile extradition cases, like the last one that went to the High Court in the UK and was also an extradition case for computer hacking. I'm thinking of Laurie Love in 2018. It was the case that the High Court blocked his extradition precisely because they were unsure that the U.S. would be able to house him in a jail that wouldn't necessarily have security failings and where he might, sort of harm himself. So really there, the High Court expressed its skepticism about the U.S. Criminal justice system and its ability to protect Love. And I think probably something of the same sentiment was there in the Assange
Very quickly then, aside from the legal precedents, do you think personally this has a chilling effect now? I asked Ron the similar question earlier. A chilling effect on whistleblowers, politicians, diplomats, and journalists going forward?
I mean, it can't but have a chilling effect. I mean, after all, he spent 5 years in a high security prison and never really saw the inside of a courtroom. Extradition hearings are not really the same as criminal proceedings. He wasn't able to see the evidence or contest the evidence against him. So in that sense, the fact that he was essentially held at the pleasure of the United States can't but have a chilling effect.
Luca Follis, that will have to be the final word, unfortunately, for this edition of the Newsmakers. We're completely out of time. I'd like to thank all three of my panelists sincerely so much for being with us. Our viewers, of course, for joining us as well. Remember, you can follow us on X, and do be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Andrea Sankey. We'll see you next time.